na mtu mwingine sijui inaitwa Karango, na mwingine anaitwa nani, na mtu mwingine anaitwa sijui Martin. Hawa ni watu sasa wanapewa pesa na Kasongo kuleta confusion. Na mimi nimetaka kuuliza watu wetu wale wenye vilabu, hawa watu wasiitwe kuperform katika vilabu yetu. Katika ceremony zote hawa watu wasiitwe master of ceremony. Na mkifika huko mkiwaona mnatoka mnaenda nyumbani. Tumekubaliana?
Kuna politicians Kenya wana believe artists should play to the drums of their beliefs. To those politicians tumekam kwa show, wachaneni na artists. Let artists kwa kila song unacheki, kuna mse analipa fee, kuna parent analipa fee out of that music, kuna mse ana create brand yake na ana living, kuna mse ana deal na pia mental health out of it. So wachaneni na artists. Let artists do their thing. Kwanza, the idea of identifying 2 or 3 particular artists and taking the microphone and saying boycott, abandon, walk out, new fala. Thank you very much. So this is a statement from the Office of the Creative Economy Coordination. We've taken note of recent calls urging Kenyans to boycott musicians or walk out on them based on their personal or political positions. Let us be clear. This is not leadership. It is intimidation. And it is very dangerous. And that is why we have to make this statement. Behind every performance is a Kenyan trying to earn an honest living. A young artist building a future. A parent paying school fees. A creative whose only crime is thinking independently. To mobilize the public against them is deliberately threatening their livelihood and injecting fear into an entire industry. We have seen this script before. It never ended well. From Fela Kuti to Miriam Makeba, every attempt to silence artists only made them louder, stronger, and more influential. And as has been said across generations, you can jail the musician. You can stop the musician, but you cannot jail the music. You cannot stop the music. And as history reminds us, when art is attacked, it does not retreat, it multiplies. But what is most concerning is a contradiction we are now witnessing. Here is a politician who on one hand tells Kenyans, if you're angry, do not shout, just sing. And on the other hand, calls for musicians to be kicked out if they do not align with his position. Here is a political formation that has made loud claims about alleged ban on plays in the school festivals. Yet today, is actively encouraging the silencing of music and the exclusion of its creators. This is not just inconsistency, it is hypocrisy, and it must be called for what it is. Because you cannot defend freedom in words and attack it in action. You cannot celebrate art when it serves you and punish it when it does not serve you. History does not reward those who try to control culture and art, it exposes them. Kenya must not repeat these mistakes that were done in the past. Our creative economy is not a political playground. It is a serious economic venture, a sector that employs thousands and carries the identity of our nation. It cannot and will not be reduced to a loyalty test. Artists are not political tools, they are citizens with certain rights. We reject any attempt to weaponize audiences against performers. We reject the idea that access to work should depend on political alignment, and we reject the normalization of fear in a sector that thrives on freedom. Let it be said plainly, a nation that silences its artists begins to silence itself. And when leaders fear songs, it is not the artists who get weak. We call on leaders to exercise responsibility and restraint. Influence should unite, not punish. We call on Kenyans to reject division disguised as loyalty. And we stand firm with the musicians, not selectively, not conditionally, fully. Because when you target artists, you do not weaken them, you weaken the nation. Let me just add, before I let you ask a few questions. We must, as a nation, let artists create the creative economy, because there is money to be earned. Just a few minutes before I addressed this press conference, I was speaking to the owner of Tres, who came to visit the office because they are already organizing a major international concert that's bringing us the biggest musician in every country to Kenya next month at a ground and venue that will be announced later. Kenya is seriously becoming the center of the creative economy of the world. It's becoming the headquarters of the creative economy of the world. We cannot therefore allow leaders to come in the place of growing talents and addressing artists. Let politics be politics, but let artists thrive as artists. Those who attempt to threaten artists, we say to them, woe unto you, because we are going to protect those artists. And to those artists who have been threatened, I say to you, do not be intimidated. Do your craft, go present, and we will ensure that no one stops you from those stages. And to those who threaten them with by taking the position and posture of being tribal warlords and directing a certain tribal sentiment towards them, we say to them, when you are in power, when you are deputy president for 2.5 years, tell us one thing you did for the creative economy to grow them or support them. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. One question.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any action that can be taken to the person written in the artist, or if anything happened to the artist, what are the action the creative economy can take?
Well, art is a defender on itself. What you ask about on whether there can be action that is taken on people who threaten artists is also an issue for the criminal investigative agencies to handle. It is actually beyond art. But I need to rephrase that and say that art will defend itself. You cannot stop a relic, because once a relic hits a studio and it's sung and people dance to it, people can only continue dancing to it, whatever you do to it. Mr. Politician, no matter how eloquent you may be, you cannot beat a rhythm that is put on a keyboard. Neither can you stop a dance that is already flowing.
Okay, my name is Phyllis Njeri from Field Media. How are you going to protect the creatives from the public?
The public already embraces the artist. The person who, this is just a single individual, who, by the way, it's not the first time he has done this. When Martin Ojanet had a major concert in Murang'a, he said that the guy should be boycotted. He also said the same of the same Karango Muraya. He also said the same of Kikuyu artists when they visited me in this office. The public did not react. So the public understands that music unites, it doesn't divide. It is that particular one politician. This is not about the people. It is about one person who is modeling himself as a bully and turning himself into a tribal warlord. And we stand here to tell him, we will not allow you.
My name is Samuel, and I have a question. We have seen so many artists who probably joined different groups being attacked, and their brands being flagged off, and they had losing jobs as the creative department. What can you do about it?
So as government, our role is to ensure that you have a place where you can do, a platform where you can do your art and earn your living. In terms of the cancel culture, which is you're asking about, that, out of the incitement, a few people get incitement and they draw off. I challenge you to look at the time when they were unfollowed and now. What cancel culture does, it gives you immediate results in terms of achieving your incitement to be able to emotionally get people out. But in the long term, it actually makes those artists bigger. Go read the story of Kuti. Go read the story of Maria Makeba. The same cancel culture was done today. They are remembered as international artists and treated as international artists. So cancel culture cannot work. It will work for a moment, but in the long term, it will be sustained and those people can only become stronger. In fact, this press conference is to encourage those artists to know that your future is good. The fact that a politician has identified and isolated the two of you shows you that what you're doing as an art is something that is going far. And by the way, all this is because a religion went to pray with the president at State House and got a university which they never had for a very long time. Now, out of all that business, he has isolated two out of the more than 5,000 people who are in State House. And by the way, didn't he say he gave them permission? So what is the problem?
So do you have a message to the Mlima artists?
I not only have a message. We have sat with them in this office. We have crafted the future. We've crafted what we should do together. We've agreed on how loyalties should be paid. We've agreed on the fight we should do on Skiza, which they know how far we've gone. So my message is we are on course, we are on track. And by the way, now the royalties are being paid via eCitizen in terms of collection and distribution. To the Mulima artists, what we agreed on, and not these Mulima artists and the entire artists in Kenya, we agreed on ensuring that kuna pesa mfukoni. This office has ensured that it's being done. As we speak today, the Creative Economy Bill of 2026, just spoken to Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah, who was about to leave who was on travel, so we didn't talk for too long, but we spoke on how fast we should be able to push the Creative Economy Bill of 2026, and he's assured me of a fast-track model. This Creative Economy Bill of 2026 is going to ensure there is a fund for artists and for creators. And I know most of you are also creators, so you should be looking forward to the passage of that law, because now there will be a specific fund modeled along the model of a sports fund, where you are able to get money and build your studios, build your talent to a certain level. So to the artists, this office stands with you, and we're going to ensure that you benefit from having a creative economy office focused on you.
A question, are artists allowed to probably give direction to their funds on which direction politically are they supposed to follow?
Yeah, artists all over the world have a freedom, just like you and me, have freedom of association. They have a freedom of association to say, Lingala is better than Rumba. It is up to them to direct. They have a power to direct their audiences to what Mugithi is better than doing blues. So they have a power to direct people towards a creative, ingenious path, and they also have a right to endorse and participate in politics. That's why, as you all know, we have politicians who are going into politics and have announced affiliation with political parties. It cannot be that it is right for some musicians to vie on your political party and announce, but it is wrong for another musician to endorse another political party. Be consistent, Mr. Politician. Stop your hypocrisy.
The final question. There have been some allegations that there are cartels in creative industries, specifically when it comes to musicians, where only a certain group will only benefit from the certain projects. How do you work with artists, and which is the criteria that you use?
We want more details on that, and I'm able to react on what it is. But the projects, particularly by this office, are open, participatory, and everyone is invited to. Everyone, but there is no meeting we have here that people are not invited. Their political persuasions notwithstanding. I mean, I've met in this office with Samido, who doesn't really support what you'd say is probably the president's party. I've had meetings here with I've had musicians, even Mulima artists, taken to State House, and all of them were invited. As to whether you come out of the invite, it is up to you, but everyone is invited. There is fairness in the way we handle artists, because we do not look at artists and look at their political persuasion. We look at artists and see the product of their creatives and their ingenuity. So I think on that, fairness is assured.
Swali ya mwisho,
Yeah.
na hii analysis ilikuwa inatembea online about the Facebook monetization. Artists wengine wakisema walitoa analysis how most creatives wanalipa. Lakini but the creatives wakiulizwa wanasema hawajapokea hiyo pesa. So maybe what do you say about it?
So siwezi ongea story ya Meta in terms of, I can't speak on behalf of Meta, but the most important thing is that Kenya is among the few countries in Africa that are monetized. Ukiwa creative Kenya na uko Meta, na uko Facebook, na uko Instagram, your content is monetized. There are different levels of monetization, and that's a question of training. What Meta, because I meet with Meta regularly, what Meta has assured us, and Google because of YouTube, is that they'll continue, and they are actually doing a lot of trainings. On a quarterly basis, they train about 300 creators. So what I can tell you about that, yes, the people earn differently. Because also, the reason why the payment when you're a Meta creator in Kenya is different from a Meta creator in the US, for instance, is the amount of advertisement that is done by both private and public sector in Kenya on those platforms. Remember, Meta is a business. So they only pay a percentage of the adverts they get from a country. So if a country doesn't advertise very much on their platform, you earn less. But if a country advertises more, you earn more, which is why we've been pushing. And I invite you to State House on Friday. We'll organize on how to, because we're going to be having the National Drama Festivals concert, where the top items are going to be presenting. Why I say that is because you're also starting new monetization models that are not reliant on, Meta is a US company. We need to start our Kenyan companies that monetize. So we are starting now our own platforms that you're able to monetize directly from our Kenyan. So it's not reliant on algorithms, foreign algorithms, but Kenyan algorithms. But that's a very big discussion and a very good question that we need to have in a bigger way. But what I need to tell you is that what you're raising in terms of Meta is based on a foreign algorithm, and is also based on how much advertisement is done in Kenya, which is why we've been pushing for government to advertise on your content platforms, so that then there is more advertisements on Meta, and therefore the payments to our creators is more, and also the direct payment also happens. But that's a very good question and a good discussion that we can have on another day.
Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much. Nashukuru sana. Maybe let me just say it in a final language. Niseme kuna politicians Kenya wanna believe artists should play to the drums of their beliefs. To those politicians tumekam kwa show, wachaneni na artists. Let artists kwa kila song unacheki, kuna mse analipa fee, kuna parent analipa fee out of that music, kuna mse ana create brand yake na ana earn living, kuna mse ana deal na pia mental health out of it. So wachaneni na artists. Let artists do their thing. Kwanza, the idea of identifying 2 or 3 particular artists and taking the microphone and saying boycott, abandon, walk out, ni ufala. Thank you very much.